Greetings, listeners and watchers. I'm Peter Jonson. I'm the editor of HenryThornton.com, and I'm here to tell you what's on Henry's mind. Last Friday, in fact, Henry had the benefit of a private briefing from one of his favourite fund managers, a shy fellow who doesn't want to be identified, so we'll call him Bruce. Bruce started his talk with some facts that I found astounding. If you measure the US equity index by the S&P 500 since the beginning of the year 2000 to the beginning of 2008, the net change is just about zero. In strong contrast, over that same period, the Australian All Ordinaries Index has about doubled or a little more. Now, since the beginning of 2008, as we all know from our own experience, both markets have fallen. But it's an extraordinary, in the case of Australia, it's an extraordinary fact that this is just taking away some of the gains, the enormous gains of the past 9 years. So Henry's friend Bruce was talking about the decoupling of the American and the Australian economies. You know from reading the newspapers that the US economy is sliding into recession and the Australian economy is, if anything, too hot for comfort. On the US, there's some people that say it's not necessarily going to be a recession, but it's certainly a substantial slowdown. In the case of Australia, there are some signs of slower growth since the turn of the year. One of those is the decline in the Roy Morgan Index of Consumer Confidence. But by and large, employment is still growing strongly and inflation is at or over the top of the Reserve Bank's target zone. So the Reserve Bank are busy raising interest rates and everybody expects there's more to come. So the general economy and the equity markets are decoupled, but there's one market that can't decouple, and that's the market for interbank loans. Bruce was pointing out that on the best estimates now, there's about $200 billion US of write-downs or write-offs in the American economy. But the chilling fact is that there is something of that order of still to come in write-offs, and although this might be largely understood by the professionals, for some people at least it'll be a bad surprise. And if you read Henry's Lexington column today, direct from Washington, you'll see some more scary facts about the credit markets and the interbank lending markets. So it's a time to be cautious. Although various people think that the Australian banks are in much better shape, that's partly because we've been at the leading edge but not the bleeding edge of finance. It is time to be quite cautious. The theme of Bruce's talk was, don't try to catch a falling knife, wait for the bouncing ball. And in short, that's his advice. In these disturbed and volatile markets, he's certainly using up some cash, like a rifle shot, on examples of real good value, and that the good value is around. I think the Australian banks are down by 30% from their peak values, and the American banks are down by 50%. But because the banking crisis isn't over yet, Bruce cautioned continual care in this sector. However, the main message is wait for the bouncing ball. Talk to you again soon.